Oh, yeah. Some message came.
Hello there, and welcome to the Bitcoin Takeover podcast. I am Vlad, your Bitcoin influencer's influencer, and today I have a very special interview, which is Season 14, Episode 2, with Nicholas Gregory, whom you might know because he had 2 previous appearances, and he spoke about Commerce Block, he spoke about Mercury Wallet, but he's also the co-author of a very interesting paper which concerns a peer-to-peer marketplace built on top of Nostr. It's called Civ Kit, and it's really cool. And the other author of this project is Ray Youssef. You might know him from that Paxful project, of which he's trying to not talk about, I guess. He's trying to distance himself from it. He used to be known on Twitter as Ray Paxful. Right now, he is Ray Civ Kit. And I don't care what it sounds like. Civ Kit has nothing to do with the video game civilization. It's about improving the real world civilization by creating peer-to-peer marketplaces built on top of Nostr. So let's talk about that. Who wants to go first? Nicholas? I guess Ray is making coffee right now. So
I've returned. Nicholas, should you want this? It's all yours, brother, but I can...
Yeah, well, thanks for having us. Did you read the paper? Did you have a look? Do you want the TLDR? How do you want to start about it?
Well, I did read the paper, as a matter of fact, and it's interesting.
Thank you.
And I did
it's a hard
see
one.
that
It's a hard one to read. I expect.
You have references from Mike Hearn, which is super politically incorrect right now in the Bitcoin community, but it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And you did reference quite a lot of Bitcoin research, and that's what I usually do. I spent a lot of time in academia, more than I like to admit. And when I see a research paper, the first thing I do is scroll all the way to the end page where I have the references, just to be sure that, this is quote unquote academic. And I was impressed. There's a lot of references there, and there's a lot that you wrote in that. It's supposed to be so simple. It's just a marketplace, but you put a lot of effort into that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the research was done by Antoine Riard, as you probably know who he is, but he's probably not that well known in the Twitter circles, but he's definitely very well known in the Lightning Bitcoin core circles, quite a prolific developer. And I guess a lot of his work he did around channel jamming for Lightning fed into some of the things we did around staking credentials, reputation systems, and that was a lot of hard research from him, and that's where a lot of that work came from. But essentially we come from it from very different angles, all three of us. As you know, Ray built the biggest peer-to-peer system at one point in Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm somewhere in the middle, someone who kind of builds a lot of applications on top of Bitcoin. And then you got Antoine, who works a lot in the lower, the weeds of Bitcoin and Lightning. So that kind of created I think a holistic view of how to maybe build something like this at a large scale.
Okay, I have to ask you, since this is a marketplace project, how is it different from previous experiences? And right now I'm thinking about Amir Taki's Dark Market, I think it was called, and then it was rebranded as Open Bazaar.
Well, they were somewhat centralized, if I remember. OpenBazaar had one, I mean, it's going back a bit till I went on OpenBazaar, but that's essentially one website that hosted everything. And that's always going to be an attack vector, I'm not sure why OpenBazaar failed. From what I remember, it went down the BSV routes and things it just faded over time. Maybe you know more about that than me, but this is really the attempt here is obviously to make this thing unstoppable, meaning that no one can shut it down. No one entity has control. No one entity has all the order book. If that makes sense.
What about you, Ray? What was your contribution to the project?
I would love to tell you what it was, but truthfully, it's nothing compared to what Nick and Antoine did. However, what you just brought up before about Open Bazaar, I think we should get into that first.
Can you bring your microphone closer a bit?
Yes, of course. Is it better now?
Much better.
How about now? Is it good? Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. So the question you asked, How is it different from OpenBazaar? Why did OpenBazaar fail, or rather not succeed to the point where any of us are using it, right? Why wasn't it useful? What problem was it actually solving? These are the things that we need to like understand before we talk about any new product or idea or whatever, because there's a lot of geniuses involved with this project, but there's a lot of geniuses in the space. What makes this project special is that we are actually building for people, meaning building for real people every day that have a problem. OpenBazaar, what problem did it solve? I want to sell Pez dispensers for Bitcoin. Okay, but like, why? Why couldn't I just sell that stuff? If you look at their liquidity, it was for stuff you can buy on Amazon, right? Great. Now I'm not, talking about Silk Road here. I'm talking about money. I'm talking about OTC. I'm talking about things that people need to use every day, and these are vastly legitimate use cases, but they revolve around the conversion of money. Paxful was successful not because it was a version of Craigslist, right? I mean, all it is an order book and an escrow. But the question is, what are you selling? What people really need is a way to convert money. They need a money marketplace, an OTC market, peer-to-peer marketplace. That solves a real problem, because it tackles the biggest problem in the world, which is something I call financial apartheid. Africa's 2,000 payment networks, only 3% of them actually talk to each other. If you want to send money from Nigeria to Cameroon, if you're not using mobile money, you're going to have to use broken SWIFT rails between the banks. You're better off putting, money in a suitcase and going on a bus or a plane. That's how broken it is. These people need to be able to use their money. Capital controls are another huge problem. My mother lost half her life savings. It's nothing to laugh about, but I can only laugh because it's so painful, and she's not the only one. The bank there just took her money. Basically, she can't withdraw her money. She's locked out. She can only withdraw locally, right? Her money is trapped over there, and that's the situation for a lot of Egyptians. Except they're not lucky like me and my mother, and they can leave the country. They're trapped there. That's why it's apartheid. Because if you can keep people's money trapped, you can keep them trapped, and you can keep their thoughts trapped. And this is the main control vector of this matrix. People talk about replacing the US dollar. No, we need to replace the US Treasury system. The transmission of money has been throttled, curtailed, structured against humanity. And this is the biggest problem in the world. So who's solving it? I don't need to be selling my underwear, socks, and these fancy vests and shirts I designed on Civ Kit. I could, but what's the real problem? The real problem is people need to be able to convert money to other forms of money anywhere in the world. We need to open up. You can't have a free market without free payments. And Bitcoin is amazing. It gives us the foundation to do this. But until we deliver Bitcoin, get it out the door to the people on the street, it doesn't matter. And the way you do that is by making Bitcoin interoperable with all forms of existing money, which means fiat. Dirty word, but yeah, we got to face it down. This world is not going to go away unless we start making the money flow around in there. Then by osmosis, the energy is going to start coming to us, especially the youth. An OTC marketplace for money is the killer app. You don't get traction on any new product, no matter how cool it is, whether it's VHS versus Beta, Sega Genesis versus Super Nintendo, until you got the games, the apps, man. And this is the killer app here. This is the killer app. Open marketplace is this. People will get creative afterwards, and they'll put real estate on there. They'll put commodities on there. They'll put gaming and gambling on there. Someone will build a free exchange for the world on there, a truly free, fair exchange, DEX on Bitcoin. All these killer apps will come out, and they are all vital to increasing volume. But the number one thing that's needed now is this open marketplace for money, an unstoppable free marketplace. And money is the killer app. So I built one of those already with Paxful. It took about 8 years. Building marketplaces is hard. The very first version of Bitcoin Core had marketplace functions in there, which I believe Nicholas mentioned before. They were written by Satoshi Nakamoto. They were removed by others. They were creating clutter. Satoshi had to get out of Dodge, and he didn't have time to finish the project. And make no mistake, and I believe this 100%, Bitcoin is not complete until we have an unstoppable free marketplace for the world on there. So Bitcoin can reach into the real world besides just with electricity and mining. It can actually use all the existing value in the world, all the energy, about and actually like touch everyone for real right now instead of us just nerds. So this is how we get Bitcoin out the door. The youth of Africa approved it. Paxful had 13 million users and was all bootstrapped. Word of mouth carried 96% of the signups, and that's because people need it. There's necessity here, and once you take the time and educate people about it, which I did early on and continue to do, it starts to create this effect. Like you're almost getting into the hockey stick now, when people realize, hey, peer-to-peer, this is the way to actually transact everything, but especially money. And that's the hardest thing, because making a marketplace for money is much, much harder than making a marketplace for anything else, especially physical items. The physical items part you have to deal with delivery, right? Which means there has to be an escrow too. Every credit card has an escrow mechanism built into it, right? That auth hold, when you actually, click yes, I want to buy this shopping basket, it just locks those funds with Visa and MasterCard, or rather through their bank processor, card agent, and releases it when a dealer has shipped the items out. So there's an escrow there already. We just take that function out and put it onto Bitcoin Lightning. So with this order book and escrow, you actually have something that will allow anyone to sell value. But I can monologue for another hour and a half here. But I think I answered that question of why Open Bazaar didn't work and why Civ Kit will, the marketplace on Civ Kit will, because it's solving a real problem. And us, especially me as the main business driver, I'm going to go directly at that problem. I'm going to go directly at it. And I know exactly in what order to take this thing down. Because it's almost like taking down the dark boss, like the final boss in some RPG, right? Like this financial apartheid is like Ganon or something, right? And he's got his tentacles everywhere. And the only way we can defeat this thing so humanity can heal is by getting this marketplace up as quickly as possible and as broadly as possible, right? So the components of this marketplace, that's the big thing. It's like there's a lot of implementations already of marketplaces on Lightning, right? And they're good, like LND markets, RoboSats, and there's more coming every day. But what are they missing? I actually built a marketplace. I know the game beyond just the technicals. I know what you need on the street to make this happen. Underneath that marketplace, that order book and the Lightning escrow, you're going to need 3 other massive components, and they're all equally as important, if not more important than the marketplace, actually. That's how big each one of these challenges are. But they are required to put this thing together. And that's why I called it Civ Kit, as in civilization, instead of just market kit. Because those 3 components are the basic building blocks of civilization. You've got a marketplace. You need then a system of accounts, right? ID, reputation to carry over in some way. And more importantly, and the most important, you need a system of dispute resolution, peer-to-peer dispute resolution with a peer review system that even imparts those mods reputation, allows them to earn money from these things, and it's all transparent. That's massive, and no one wants to touch that. That's the biggest one, actually. If you can get that one right, that's amazing. That's a business in and of itself and absolutely needed to scale. It's probably the biggest problem in the world, can be summarized just in that dispute resolution system. But you also need a stable coin. But on Bitcoin, though, pegged to USD, dirhams, or whatever, you need that Civ dollar. Because people, when they trade, they prefer to remove volatility from the equation. If someone wants Bitcoin, it's usually just as an investment vehicle. But we're talking now about peer-to-peer finance, remittance, payments, all these things, they're better off without volatility, right? And USDT or some form of stablecoin does better. But hey, why should we let USDT have all the fun? Shouldn't there be a stablecoin on Bitcoin? I'll leave you guys with that. Vlad, did I answer the question, brother?
Yes, you did. And I think you're touching upon multiple points and multiple issues at the same time. It's so much more than a basic marketplace. It doesn't only provide the service of being a marketplace. It also aims to provide the stablecoin idea, which I guess has been in the community for a decade or longer. It started with Tether on the Omni layer on top of Bitcoin. And that one did not scale. It moved on to other chains. Right now, I think it's being traded on Tron or something. And it's so much more elegant to move it to a second layer. And I guess in this field, you're competing with Lightning Labs that's trying to bring Taro, and also RGB that's trying to create all sorts of stuff.
Competing with them. I don't know if what they. I don't think so. I think we see us cooperating with them. I think the competition is really Ethereum as far as like a business dynamic goes, because what we're trying to do here right now is we're almost building like an OS for money right now, right? It's what it is, and we're thinking we're designing the kernel of this thing. What are the minimum required components? Like what is the absolute like kernel of civilization here? And when you study something like the Roman Senate, these guys did two things. They managed the treasury and they took care of the courts, right? The courts are like the judicial system. That's what the dispute resolution is about. It's a big deal, really, really big deal, right? And the treasury is like, well, it's, the stable coin, right? And how these stable coins are created from Bitcoin and how they circulate, etc. And then it's the ID as well, which is the foundation of banking. So we're really, I don't want to call it a banking layer, but it's not. I just think that's a dirty word. I don't even like the sound of it. But if you ever wanted to be your own bank, that's kind of scary. No one wants to be their own bank. A bank, when you think about it as an idea to humans, it's something that should bring comfort. Like my money is safe there. It should almost be, but it's become the dirtiest word in the world. So no, but it's an operating system for money, right? There's the minting process with the stable coins. There's the dispute resolution. There's the ID, decentralized ID, replacing KYC, another dirty word, with KYP, know your peer. Right? Because everyone hates KYC, but identity is the foundation of banking, right? Now, people should be anonymous if they want to be anonymous, right? Completely, if they don't care. Like, for example, with Nick's Electrum Wallet Foundation, he's already created fully blinded, best-in-class privacy. So this thing, when you're transacting with someone on a Civ Kit, no one will have any. It's impossible to know who you transacted with. If you guys don't want to KYC, don't care who each other are, it's fine. No one has to do any form of ID. But for those of us that do, and indeed many peer-to-peer transactions, people want to know who they're dealing with was a fraud. They're afraid of getting scammed, by PayPal or a chargeback or taking a big bank transfer from someone whose money you don't know where it comes from. You're doing something legitimate, etc. So that needs to be there too. So we know those three components are the bare minimum. That's where we're building into this thing. Once all that comes together, you'll be able to have marketplaces of all kinds. So people are building a lot of really complex stuff out there, like Fedi, etc., which is, does a lot, is focused on this community empowerment thing. But us, we're about, what? We're going to put something out here that's going to let everyone make money like they've been doing on these peer-to-peer marketplaces. And it's going to make it unstoppable. We're going to give them all the tools they need to compete with us and build their own marketplaces. And what really each of those marketplaces honestly becomes is like a civilization within itself. 99% of governance is about money. The most senior person on the legal committee in the House of Representatives of the United States will give up that most senior position for the most junior spot on the funding council, the committee, right? That allocates the funds, because this is what it's all about. Civilization is mostly about money, and we're giving someone the basic kernel. It's a kernel of an operating system for money. Nick, does that sound good to you, everything I just said? Or do you think me a madman, sir?
Yeah, sounds great. But just it won't take 2 weeks.
Exactly. It's going to take some work, but it's required. I'm sorry. Vlad, my goodness.
I guess I partially disagree with the statement that nobody wants to be their own bank and it's too frightening. I know a bunch of people who are just like me and they want to be sovereign, but I can agree that it doesn't scale too well and most people don't care about it. But there are a lot of nerds like myself who do care about self-custody and sovereignty and all of these principles that are the reason why we got into Bitcoin in the first place.
Well, thank you for that, Vlad. But, I can't respect what you said unless you give me that big Z at the end, bro. But anyway, thank you. I agree. So let's take that idea even harder, Vlad. Not only can you be your own bank, but you can be your own. like your own industry bank almost, because you think about it, with Civ Kit, the end goal is that someone should be able to start their own marketplace as easy as starting a WordPress website, right? You'll just have all the tools right there. You'll give it a name. You'll set some variables for the marketplace, your escrow fee, how much you're taking off, put a nice logo on there, right? A few other variables about the security of the system, etc., what currencies you support, what payment methods you support, and you'll actually have your own marketplace. And within that marketplace, of course, it's more than a bank. Like a marketplace is more than a bank because it's better than a bank because you can make money off it. Like, how do banks make money? By lending money? No. Like banks are like rent seeking, right? Because they're just the transmission of money has been removed from the equation. What good are they? Just lending money? So you can actually be a marketplace master. That's even better and more than being a bank, I think. It's a layer above, and you can earn. You could start Vlad Marketplace for the obviously awesome hair products that you might have a monopoly on, bro. And all other kinds of stuff that Vlad's into, man. And I can go there and be like, damn, Vlad, I didn't know you had fungi like this, my good man. And I order the fungi hair gel, which can also be consumed. And it's wonderful. And all the rage in Paris and Berlin and whatever else you want to put on there. Whether you're selling the products yourself or just facilitating it for someone else, you are making a cut off every transaction as the market master. So many people told me, Ray, do you have a white label for Paxful? I want to do my own Paxful. I'm like, really? That's great. Well, now they can. And they can compete with me. And brothers and sisters can start these marketplaces everywhere, in Venezuela, in Colombia, in Brazil, in Syria, in Russia, 10 of them in Nigeria, for whatever industry you want. And Nick can talk more about what a Civ Kit node can actually support. Because the order book is kind of like a richer database with metadata that you can store on top of Bitcoin, right? It's liquidity. And then how that is delivered, whether it's money in another network, a good, a service, is also deferred onto the Bitcoin network of escrow. It's beautiful, man. It is really the kernel of an operating system for civilization. And that's why we called it Civ Kit. Kit, so anyone can start their own. Just like getting a classic Cobra in the mail, putting it together with these two hands. But a lot easier. A lot easier.
Yeah, I think this is very important to mention because Civ Kit is a kit. It's not something that is a service in and of itself. You need to build your own marketplace. It's a tool that you can use to build your own. And I'm showing right now the homepage of civkit.org, which has this very beautiful picture with, I guess this is a husky dog.
It's an Akita Inu. Akitas are like Shiba Inus, but they're much bigger. They're like 130 pounds for like a male. And it's the name Hachiko comes from this dog. His name was Hachiko. He was from Japan, and he was a very loyal dog who waited for his master to come back 11 years every single day at the train station. But his master died. He never came back, but he waited 11 years until he died. So this is Team Hachiko, my good man. We're the loyal stalwarts, bro, and we're holding it down for Satoshi Nakamoto, my good man. He doesn't have to come back because we're going to finish the job.
Yeah, it's really ambitious. It says, we propose a new peer-to-peer electronic market system which enables censorship-resistant and permissionless trading between users of the global Bitcoin system. This design builds on top of the new Nostr protocol for its peer-to-peer order book and relies on the Bitcoin blockchain as a source of truth for its web of stakes market ranking paradigm. What's the web of stakes market? It's a tongue twister. Web of stakes market ranking paradigm. What's this?
Yeah, so that refers to a lot of different topics. It's like it's like a web of trust, stakes, like, what binds you to the marketplace. What is your skin in the game? Is it your volume? Is it who you've traded with? It's actually both. And you're ranking someone. You're eventually giving them a reputation algorithmically from their trades. Now, if you think about that kernel there, that algorithm is like PageRank, like Google's PageRank for financial trustworthiness, like a credit score. those credit scores, like for example, Google PageRank is what made Google $1 trillion company, right? They managed to sort web searches by relevancy, by number of backlinks. And that algorithm has been evolving for the past 15 years and everyone, or 20 years, and everyone tries to stay ahead of it, right? But that's what makes Google Google, because you're getting trusted rankings, right? Good information. How do we do that for money? Where money is at stake, it's even harder. It's even harder. And we have to take that now and make it public, and everyone's going to see it because it's going to be in hashed discrete lock contracts and hash time lock contracts, and they're going to know what the algo is. But it should still be strong. Think about the level of challenge involved there. Nick, does that sound right to you? Perhaps you can give more. It's just me talking here. It's getting scary, bro. This is important.
Yeah.
You know? We need someone smart, basically is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's based on it's basically using the kind of the Bitcoin network as a reputation system, and this is based on what I was telling you before, some of the jamming, the channel jamming stuff that Antoine had researched before. But I think that's probably a later release. What we're trying to we want to ship some code pretty soon. We don't just want this to be a white paper with ideas, and there's a lot of code that's being built at the moment. But the first thing is really to have a Civ Kit node, which is essentially a Nostr node, but with order book type functionality. And that's what we want to ship first. And then we are going to ship a Lightning node. Now, this is going to be based on LDK, but as you might know, there's no kind of standalone way of running LDK on the server. So we've made some changes to LDK. No, we've basically built some bootstrap code to start an LDK node, and then we want to enable custom scripts and stuff, which you could say is smart contracts on Lightning, but that's a bit of a big word. But this would enable us to do a lot of these things like web stakes and do bespoke behavior on the Lightning network. And that's what those two things is kind of what we want to release probably in 2 to 4 weeks time. And that's really just to show what we're building, what and give the kind of like the basis for what the long-term plan is. But yeah, code is being built a lot. So you should see a code drop in hopefully a month's time.
Why did you decide to build this on top of Nostr? And why was it necessary for Nostr to launch, for this idea to get, I guess, rejuvenated?
Well, the way I see Nostr, I mean, it's like if you think of Lightning as point-to-point, I want to make a Lightning payment, it's a point-to-point mechanism. Nostr, with the concept of relays, allows you to broadcast information. And an order book essentially needs to be broadcast. I mean, in our system, we're not going to actually specify if the order book is centralized or not. That will be down to vendors, or the orders could be blinded as well. That will provide different concepts, because some people may want to have a centralized order book. Some people want to have it broadcast. We think it should be broadcast by default. Some people want to have the orders blinded because they're scared that nefarious stuff gets put on there. But Nostr for me is an elegant way, a simple way of sharing data to interested and interested only users. And I thought, the momentum there was cool. We are going to contribute to some of the NIPs, and there's already been a kind of like NIPs that are relevant to what we're doing. And it really was just to build on the community that's kind of thriving there. That's honest.
I think it's a bit trolly when we talk about NIPs all day, and you contributed to NIPs, you showed NIPs.
NIPs are important, yeah, what can I say?
Diviasa. I have no idea what you two are talking about, but this is great.
We're talking about NIPs, Ray, NIPs.
Yes, indeed. Fond memories. Yeah. You guys are talking about all this technical stuff, and here am I don't know, do I sound like fucking Barnum and Bailey or what, man? I'm talking about real stuff here. Are you feeling me here, Vlad? Because you're looking at me like I'm a madman, bro. When a Russian guy looks at you like that, it's scary.
I'm not Russian.
You guys are crazy, man.
You've offended the whole of Romania by calling them Russians.
Oh, my God. I apologize to the whole community. Free the tapes.
Yeah, you're canceled right now.
I've done it. Oh my goodness. I won't start with the Dracula jokes either, bro. It's just done, man.
Oh, we love those. We love those.
All right, well, finally. Great, man. So, yeah, bro. This man here, Nick Gregory, is actually shipping code. This guy is so. Just so you guys know, Civ Kit hasn't gotten any backing by any Western VCs or any of these fancy pants people. No, it's just like Bitcoin and how it started. It's just a bunch of true believers putting their time, love, and energy into it. And it's a very small team. It's like 4 people. And every person that comes on either has to be a super mega genius or have a funny haircut like myself. And, these are high quality. So we're keeping the team small, but it's an amazing team. It's proper like space brains. And Nick is great at managing super geniuses. He is one himself, and he's got a steady hand here. We have an amazing team. Team Hachiko is awesome. It's going to stay small. And we're open for donations, but the only donations we've gotten have been from myself so far, and that's enough. But people are welcome to donate, but just let it be known, we ain't ever selling out to the man. And no matter how much loot we get, we ain't ever going to leave the projects, quote unquote. But Civ Kit is a protocol and it's pure. It doesn't make money, and that's intentional. There would be ways we could potentially try to make money from the protocol, either through oracles or whatever, but no, it should be pure, just like Bitcoin was, completely and totally pure. That's the way it has to be for this to succeed. Now, people can build applications on top of Civ Kit that are very profitable. Like we've seen this entire industry emerge, including Bitcoin, crypto, all of it, right? It's all built on this tech. So I'm going to be building as many killer apps out there as I can on this. And that marketplace for money is number 1. Number 2, it's hard to say, but if you're going for volume, building a DEX, a fair exchange on Civ Kit, I think would not be another amazing use case. I think we could take the power of these dark pool FBAs that are limited only to the uber rich trading $100 million of soybeans minimum or something, and actually bring it to retail in a way that creates a provably fair exchange that is largely immune to front running, back running, sniping, still orders, spoofing, all that stuff. You could also build cool stuff on it, like peer discovery apps, which I actually did in 2004. I want to bring all that back. I'm a gamer myself. I want to build like 4 or 5 apps on Civ Kit myself, and each of them should drive tremendous volume. And that's how I'm thinking. And there's a lot of hustlers out there who are good developers, and I know these guys, and I'm going to get them on it. I'm going to be like Vitalik on steroids for Bitcoin. Literally all of that shit, bro.
I mean, I'm not sure if you want to dance on stage and rap and stuff like that, but I'm not going to judge you if you're going to do that.
My dance moves are sick, bro. I'm East Coast all the way when it comes to spitting, man. You're going to hear rhymes like you can't imagine. I'll be canceled the moment I even set foot on stage. But it must be done, so.
I appreciate it. And I very much agree with you that Nicholas is super underrated, doesn't get enough credit for all the work that he does.
Yeah, he's a genius, straight up. And he's built such foundational tool, like Mainstay, the entire core. Like, okay, so I think everyone I don't know what your audience is. It all super mega nerds, bro? Is there some normal?
Pretty much normal
nerds.
No offense, my
but
nerd
super
listeners.
mega ones like you and this guy over here, like level 99 arch nerd. This is high level, bro. There's some at least just normal. Like I'm just like a dork, man. There's a few more of me out there, bro. All right, fine. Let me just dumb it down a little bit for people, just so they understand. Like, my whole focus is on delivery. I don't just put out technology. I'm not the smartest guy in the room, nowhere near. I am surrounded by geniuses, which feels great now. But I'm good at, I wouldn't call it even selling. I talk about delivering to the streets, like product, usability, sales, they call it. Like I bootstrapped a 13 million user business. I can do things like that because I learned how to do business on the streets. Like I was working in my parents' newsstand in Hell's Kitchen in Columbus Circle in like 80s and 90s New York. That teaches you some things, And I take that same drive right now when I collect with people of the Global South, and they trust me because I'm one of them and they can feel it, right? So no matter where anyone is from, you have to be able to deliver something to the street. So here's what I'm going to do. Not only is Civ Kit an open source decentralized project from the jump, we will be giving away open source as well, progressive web apps For the front-end user experience, meaning the Nostr relay browser and even the trading process, including the chat and the dispute, that'll be all baked into this browser with this little extension that lets you do a trade, right? And it's a Nostr browser that anyone can use for anything, by the way. We'll be releasing this as a progressive web app, open source. And we'll also be releasing a progressive web app for the marketplace master experience, meaning, set up your WordPress site, give a name, upload a graphic, pick a color, all that stuff. So anyone can set up their own Civ Kit. There'll be some minor admin work like, what is your server here? Set this up on DigitalOcean or whatever. But you don't have to be a Lightning developer here. You don't even have to be a developer at all. We want to get that close to the delivery. But it's a kit. This will start you off. You can actually set up a marketplace. You can get your friends out the box without writing any code to get your friends to add some liquidity. You add some liquidity. People start doing their first transaction on there. That's like your hello world. Do your first trade. It can be you with another account that you control or someone else, whatever. Do your first trade. We get them to that, and then they can build on top of that, because money marketplaces are very complex organisms, right? You kind of have to build an app for each payment method, right? Because the method of payment of this one bank will be different from that bank. The method of payment or the security fraud prevention checks you're going to have to put in for this one vanilla gift card will be very different for an Amazon or iTunes gift card. There's a lot of little tweaks you're going to have to make to this thing to keep it safe and optimized for whatever payment method and whatever market you're in. And they'll be able to do that. Then they'll hire developers and do all that. But the point is they can get started right away without running any code on both sides. And that market master, say it's you, Vlad, will be earning money on each trade. You can even set your escrow fee. Is it going to be 1 basis point? Is it going to be 50? You decide. And the other sides have their margin. Both counterparties, they're trading just like any peer-to-peer marketplace. They can set their variables. So we'll be delivering both sides of that experience so someone can get jump-started right away. And the reason this thing is actually going to work is because this is all being designed by someone who's actually done this before, me, founder of Paxful, right? I figured this stuff out. I actually had to launch this thing on the street, step by step by step, without any money, without any marketing budget, like none of that. Just like it has to actually serve the need directly, right? So that's how we're going to deliver this thing. And that's why we're so confident it's going to work, because it's solving a real problem. We've done it before. Technically, it's extremely complex on the Lightning side and all of really, but we have, super geniuses like Nick and Antoine, just brainiacs here that love the challenge and they're diving into this. So this part will get fixed. The tricky part in all this is that it's going to be an arms race to keep up with those that are trying to defraud the system, especially on things like the listing of the order book and controlling the sorting. And that's where you're going to have to, again, lean on this Truth Oracle marketplace, which is huge. The Truth Oracle, it's like each dispute moderator or KYC verifier or even a filter, a safety filter for the marketplace orders is kind of like a Truth Oracle, right? It's like a little bot that you're going to call that's going to, give you a or B, yes or no, or just, filter out a record set that you give it. But that all has to go peer-to-peer as well. So there can be different Truth Oracles that you can call upon for whatever it might be, sorting the order book, doing a dispute, verifying KYC ID or proof of address. So that's going to have to be leaned on, and that's being built out as well. That's a big one. And again, you can see how that ties in with the KYP, the ID system, right? Because those Truth Oracles are bound to a higher standard than other people. Like those people will probably have to ID, right? They should know who they are, especially their corporations or whoever. They shouldn't be afraid to show themselves, right? It's part of the game mechanics. Ooh, I forgot what I was going into, man, but you can see my monologues can go long, brother. Are these useful, my good man? Because you're all looking at me like I'm mad.
No, you're not mad. I remember watching you on stage in 2019 at the Baltic Honey Badger conference, and you were on
We
a
met.
panel, I think, with Roman from Huddle Huddle and a bunch of other people from peer-to-peer marketplaces, if I'm not mistaken. You had longer hair.
Bro, this hair is down to here if I just unfro it, man. You have no idea what you're in for, bro. It'll dry up in a little bit. But yeah, I forgot what we were talking about, but I think I might have made a note of aircraft carriers. Because these guys in the scene, you know, they all hate KYC and they want to be cyberpunk crypto anarchists and all this. And you know what? There's a part of me that's with them 100%. You know, load those boys onto the jihadi camp too, for all I care. It's all good. But like, we're in a game right now where we have to hold a balance here. But there should be room for everybody. With permissionless, it means they're in the game too. But they have to understand that the people of the global south who we're building this for, they don't really care about being invisible. They want to be visible. They've been invisible for so long. They're just like, yeah, give me whatever I need. Now, they don't want to get their eyeballs scanned or anything like that. But they want to be, you know, have an ID. They want to have a reputation. They want to be able to take out a line of credit. They've got nothing to hide. You know, these are really like all these Africans are kind of like goody two-shoes, you know, just very nice people that just want to do business. And we have to we really have to cater to them above all. But those guys, those honey badger guys, they'll be able to use Civ Kit and no one will be able to dox them. And if they, you know, get tired of using one pub key, they can switch to another pub key and start building a reputation from that. They don't have to identify themselves to anyone. But should they choose to identify themselves to a particular person in a particular trade, they can. Should that party required for whatever transaction they're doing. So you see, this world will allow all gradients to operate. But I believe the large majority of it will be like whitey white use cases for real from the global south. These people just want to transact. But if we can bring all sides together, what could be more wonderful? Don't you think so, Vlad? Nick?
I very much agree with you, as long as it's the user's choice as opposed to a forced design. It should not be like eBay or PayPal or Craigslist or whatever. It should not be like Silk Road entirely. It should be a matter of choice. Which degree of privacy do you want to enable?
Exactly. And the choice will come from the user and from the marketplace too. Let's say, you know, Vlad, you start up Transylvania Market, you know, and, you know, you say, hey, no KYC required for me at all. But if someone wants to, they'll be like, okay, they could set a limit. They could say, if you go over $10,000 a day, I'm going to have to, you know, see what KYC if you want to unlock that or something. But if you don't like the marketplace maker's rule, you should be able to leave. Now, these are more advanced things. So maybe people can build all this stuff out themselves. But in the beginning, we'll put in the option, I think, for at least one of those. That way, it takes some basic compliance into respect. The marketplace master can control it. And that sends a good signal, you know what I mean, to the man to like lay off a little bit, because we're trying to do the right thing here. We have to factor all these things in, guys. And until I have my own aircraft carrier, I am picking that fight with Uncle Sam. You feel?
Yeah, at this point in the interview, I should also mention that my show is sponsored by Wasabi Wallet, which is an open source CoinJoin privacy-friendly wallet where you get to mix your coins with a bunch of other strangers to hide the traces. For example, if you withdraw from Coinbase to your Trezor or whatever, you're gonna discover that 5 steps after your withdrawal, Coinbase is going to track your transactions, and you can effectively blur the lines with Wasabi. It's free, it's open source, and you can download it. I guess Nicholas also has an opinion on Wasabi. I'm dying to hear it right now.
I think me and Ray had a good time in was it Bitcoin Amsterdam with Max? I think me, you, and him, we went out for coffee one night. So yeah, we
Max cool.
Yeah,
Max
it's cool. They built a nice UI, good product. Obviously, I'm responsible for another privacy wallet, but it's more of a layer 2 wallet. Does it slightly different, but I can't say anything negative about Wasabi. Good luck to them.
It's a great project, a full-on great product. Nick, maybe you can tell people a little bit about why they should why Mercury Wallet is special and it's awesome, and why we're really going to tap the technology in there to build off of, was it really is best in class. It's a state chain, and I'm not smart enough to explain that, but you are. So.
Yeah, I think there's two things. So we obviously announced a few months ago, a way of making things fully blinded. And on the order book side of things, there's this issue. Yeah, if we get mega trades or high throughput trades on say Civ Kit, which would be people's own market places, you want to know how to avoid front running. And we've seen how Ethereum is basically useless in that sense with MEV attacks, and people just kind of put layers and layers on top. So using some of the work we've done around blinding orders, knowing when to reveal them, maybe having these epochs of blinded orders but revealing them at the last minute. We're experimenting with things like that on how to make the order book more fair and not be kind of front run, and that's something that we've been working on. Also, we've been working for the last 6-7 months on an LSP design for Lightning, and we already did a proposal to integrate state chains in Lightning, and I think that the state chain paradigm, I think, is pretty useful there to onboard people, because I think Lightning as it is quite hard for people, I'd say unsophisticated users, to use it. I think we all accept that Wallet Satoshi is probably the most successful Lightning wallet out there, and those guys have done a great job, but it is custodial. That long term, that's going to be a challenge. I think there needs to be layers or cooperative layers with Lightning to kind of improve the usability of Lightning, to solve the inbound liquidity issue. The fact that people start up a Lightning wallet and can't receive a payment unless they've got inbound liquidity. And I think state chains can solve a lot of that. I mean, there's been a lot of noise about new layer 2 protocols that have been released in the last few weeks, but they are just ideas. We've been running state chains for a year and a half, and just because state chains may have been custodial, or we wouldn't say it's but semi-trustless 18 months ago, technology doesn't stay still. And I think we're going to release updates to kind of mitigate all those issues in the next 6 months. And I think that we'll integrate that into Lightning, and that will be part of Civ Kit node as well. And I think that will make the Lightning experience much easier, much more user friendly, which I think is key here.
Yeah, I have to ask at this point, because I'm not well acquainted with state chains, which is really a shame, because I interviewed you twice and still I haven't really used them. But I'm curious to know if they can be used as a scaling layer, for example, to open Lightning channels on top of state chains and become interoperable with the Lightning channels that were open on the base layer.
Yeah, it can be. We already wrote a spec for it. That's a blip, which is different than a BIP and different than a NIP. I just wanted to say BIPs, a NIP again, but it's a blip 18. We wrote that with a combination of people. Me and my co-founder Tom Trevethan wrote it, but we worked with people like Antoine, Shinobi, who you know well. Shinobi's a friend of Civ Kit. I think, Ray, you've had a few chats with him. Yeah, he gives us his opinion, unfiltered opinion when needed. And yeah, we've already wrote a spec for that. But yeah, it takes a long time. Now, this would be much easier to build if there were upgrades to Bitcoin. I'm sure you've seen the noise when do we get CTV or any prev out. So we're hesitant to do a lot of work now if CTV or any prev out will get released in a year's time. But I think at some point, if we think that there won't be any upgrades to Bitcoin in the next few years or ever, we may just go ahead with it. So that's where we are with that kind of stuff. If an influencer like you, Vlad, could bang the drum on Twitter trying to get any prev out or CTV, that would help a lot.
I mean, there are lots of people on Twitter who say that any attempt to change Bitcoin is a scam and an attack by default. And I do understand the conservatism from the perspective that you want something to be well tested before you add it to the main chain, because there are lots of people's savings that rely on the chain functioning well. So you don't want to break it. This is not Ethereum where you can roll back whenever you want, because they established a precedent. So I very much understand the conservatism, but I guess in the case of CTV, it has been around for a couple of years or something.
I think that's any prev out has been around for a couple of years. or maybe CT. I know less about CTV, to be honest, but I think any Prevout's been around for a long time and it's been in testnet for a few years. I mean, I think it was originally proposed by Christian Decker in 2014, 15, around then. But I think a lot of the challenges of Lightning and other layer 2 protocols like state chains become kind of fade away with these upgrades. But I do understand the hesitancy. There was a lot of drama around the Taproot release, with this whole ordinal stuff as well. People are a bit worried about unintended consequences. So I do get that. But yeah, from a business decision, we're going to maybe give it 3 to 6 months on whether to integrate state chains on Lightning, because again, the job becomes a lot easier with any of these upgrades.
I mean, the concerns about ordinals, for the record, are silly, because I guess the only advantage that was added by Taproot was that complex scheme in which you could get that 75% discount to add your JPEGs or whatever to encode them on the witness side of a Bitcoin block. But this was always possible because there is this guy from Canada, his name is Mike in Space. He quickly responded to the whole ordinal inscription movement with something that's using, I think it's base 58.
Is that stamps stuff?
Yeah, stamps to encode files and basically add them not on the witness side, but on the expensive side, which gets no discount of the block. So adding arbitrary data into the Bitcoin blockchain is possible and has always been possible and will always be possible, even if you block some encoding system because another one can just pop out. It's like trying to slay the head of Hydra,
Well, I'm hoping that people keep on putting JPEGs on Bitcoin and then it gets priced out and then they still want to do it. And then they use Mainstay, where you could put 1 billion JPEGs on one Bitcoin transaction. But we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess they're trying to justify the cost with, I guess, a higher value when they're trying to sell it or whatever. I'm not sure if it's going to work out, but they are still paying for mining fees. They're paying for the security of the Bitcoin system. And, it's a recurring issue. If you look at Bitcoin Talk 10 years ago, you're going to see that people were having similar discussions about others adding arbitrary data into the blockchain. It's not going to go away. As long as people can afford it, they're going to do it.
Yeah. I think Bitcoin is a build around protocol, not a build on protocol. I think we have an obligation to keep the blockchain, not completely pure, but as efficient as possible. It's a matter of survival, right? Because things will get pricier and pricier, right, as the inflation rages out of control. So we don't have to hurry that along. But at the same time, experimentation is good.
I'm not going to disagree with that. And some people seem to have figured out different use cases as opposed to JPEGs. And it's going to be interesting. Someone came up with some proposal to do zero-knowledge rollups using the same protocol. And that's more interesting than JPEGs.
Certainly. And there'll be many more such things. Like you could somehow inscribe people's reputations as well in some ways, so it's not centralized. You could hash the latest reputation score, whatever, at certain points or something. It can be utilized in a way that is important. Reputation is critically important, right? It's so important because from people's reputation, you can start creating money markets. You can start having money flow from the West to the global South. Like, why is that important? Because in the UK, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, like you'd be happy to get 2% APY, right? But meanwhile, if you want to borrow $200 to buy a sewing machine in Rwanda, you're going to pay 30% a month. And you'll be lucky if you can get it. Imagine you cut their price by half, 15% or even 10% a month. And the money came from someone in the UK. And they're getting that 10% a month, and that guy is winning out. Like, it's a huge win-win. Imagine all the money that can flow from the West into the global South and all the profit that these early adopters can make. It works beautifully when you have open, like, free markets for money. And that's what a reputation system will do, because it's easy to do any kind of Bitcoin pooling system, right? But how do you let people pull out of that pool? What are their criteria? That's the hard part, right? The closer you get to all these things, you're going to see people build apps on this system that, someone might build a marketplace for, a little loans you can give people, or bonds. Like, here's the Nigerian fintech pool, or the Kenyan architectural pool, or the Rwandan textile pool, or whatever it is. And they'll each be ranked with, volume, number of participants, default rate, return on investment rate, all these things. And people can actually invest in them. And that's easy to build. Ethereum proved all that out. The hard part is reputation, so people can pull out. See, we're solving the problem by giving someone a global reputation, which is extremely hard, but it has to be done. Projects like Fediman are saying, oh, yeah, you let the village elders, hash this out, but it doesn't extend out the trade to other parts of the world where it's really needed. We need to build the corridors now. We need to solve the hardest problems that exist, and a global reputation based on your trading in a marketplace is very important. It's critical, actually. And that's why it's going to be a part of Civ Kit. And that's why we need ID. So all those crypto anarchists looking at me like that right now, just take a chill pill, all right? Anyway, yeah. So what are we talking about now, gentlemen? Can we talk about what? Classic cars from the 60s? We get further and deeper into the techno rabbit hole. Nick, you've been awfully quiet on this podcast. Don't let me do all the talking, brother. I know you got a lot to say.
Yeah. Any questions, Vlad? Where do you want to go?
I do have a question that comes from the other sponsor of the show, which is Crypto Steel. They make these steel plates and cold storage devices since 2013, so they have been in business for 10 years or longer. And you can use promo code BTCTKVR to get 10% off on your purchase of these devices. And I'm going to show it right now. But the question is, the assets that you use on Civ Kit, like stable coins or Bitcoin, is there any way to back them up on cold storage and on a device like one of these?
Well, I mean, look, we're not really touching that. I mean, the initial release is all going to be based on Lightning, but people will be able to use their own Lightning wallet. Ultimately, we are shipping a lightweight Lightning node, which again is really for people to run on the back end, which is based on LDK. Individual wallets will be able to choose their own backups mechanisms. We're not really looking to solve that. There's only so much we want to build, I think we want to build a toolkit for people to build decentralized marketplaces to increase the velocity of Bitcoin. I mean, that's where I'm here for. I mean, obviously Ray wants to build, the companies he's involved with want to build on top. I work for a company, Commerce Block, who wants to build infrastructure underneath, but hopefully other people with their own wallets will be able to choose how they custody their funds. Ultimately, that's not for us.
Yeah, we need to pick and choose our battles. But the question of a stable coin is interesting, right? Like stable coin that is created by Bitcoin, like DAI, right? And Ethereum, it's 150% collateralized. Whatever the rule set we use to do that, we have to do that in some way. So a lot of people are building out such solutions like stable sats and inverse contracts, this, that. We have to pick the right approach and go with it here. Because a Civ dollar, backed by Bitcoin, is something that is really needed here, especially like during the trade. You can hold your money in Bitcoin, but when a trade starts up, it should definitely be in this stable currency. And people want to store in that as well. So that's another project that we need to bake into this, but it can happen, as in a simultaneous thread. So if anyone there has any ideas for an implementation of a stable coin on Bitcoin that makes sense, please do let us know. Tether can't have all the fun. And everything has to be built on Bitcoin going forward. Not everything, but you know what I mean. Yeah, that's a cool product you guys got there. I like that. Looks like something from John Wick, I like that.
Speaking of movies, I was about to remark that you look a lot like Marlon Brando when you make certain facial expressions. And there's also Cdor_IO in the chat who says, that voice, man, Ray needs to narrate audiobooks.
Yeah, man. I need to be that supervillain in all the comic books and video games, bro. That's my new job, man. Because I'm unemployed right now, man. And I'm looking.
So we like the movie Apocalypse Now, then? Is that what? Nothing of my alarm.
Yeah, I get Marlon Brando sometimes. I get Sal Mineo for Brendan Fraser. I'm a funny looking guy. And I'm funny, period. It's great.
No, I guess you could do that scene from The Godfather seamlessly. Just wear the proper suit, make
do
that
all.
facial expression.
I have a lot in common with Vito Corleone because I'm not a gangster, but I'm a first-generation immigrant to the United States. I came when I was 2 years old, but I had my family with me, unlike poor Vito. We're just an orphan on a boat, poor guy. Man, them's were the times. Yeah. So any other questions? These guys asking good questions. We've got some trolls out there. No one's trolled me about my haircut. That's good, man. That's why shaving this thing down is good.
There's no reason to troll because it's classy.
Oh, yeah. God bless them, man. They're so nice today.
But how can I get you to narrate my magazine, which is called Bitcoin Takeover Free Breaking FUD?
And I'll start right now, bro.
We can start right now. That's great. I can send you the open source file, or you can buy it.
Yeah, let me just go there and I'll read it.
Selling prints.
I'll read it out right now. Send me the link right here in the chat, and I'll read this thing out, man. I will sound like a combination of freaking Megatron and I don't know who else, bro.
I love it. Let's do it. Let me send you the link.
Yeah, let's do this right now, my good man. There's a madness up in here, huh?
I did not expect this. It was not in the books. But why not? Let's see you read some of this.
Where are you sending this link? Where did you send the link? And what signal?
I sent it on Telegram, but you can also look here in the chat in Jitsi. We're using open source software for streaming this.
I don't see it in the Telegram. Well, now I see it here. All right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Breaking FUD. This is great. All right. Let me just. This thing's taking
Silent Lamb in the chat says that when he closes his eyes, he hears Vin Diesel.
Perhaps. Oh, here it is.
That would be a more fun movie, Fast and Furious. I wouldn't mind. Yeah.
I mean, you did mention 1960s cars, so it fits.
Embracing Bitcoin. Should I just start here with the opening?
Whichever you want. Just pick one. You can look at the table of contents. Pick one that you think. Maybe the film noir one, but that's too long. It's 10 pages.
Film. Hold on. I'm at Breaking FUD here. Film noir. Let me read it. What page is that?
You can double click at the bottom and you can input the page.
What page is it?
Well, which one do you want to read?
I don't know. Pick one for me, bro.
Pick one for you. So how about the one about there's energy consumption, there's mining centralization, there's education, mainstream acceptance, price volatility.
Something that would sound good in like an evil kind of video game last boss kind of narrator kind of voice. I don't know, man. I'm going to lay it on thick, bro.
Okay, so which one did you say?
I have no idea. I'm asking you, bro. Okay, let me just go through this. How I broke the FUD and embraced Bitcoin. Actually, maybe I just do that. How I broke the FUD and embraced Bitcoin. Yeah, let me just do that. Let me just do this.
That's my personal story.
All right, I'm going to read your personal story in my voice. My Bitcoin story follows the same pattern of FUD. When I first read about it in 2013, I thought it was a stupid idea. I was 21 years old at the time, and I remembered staring at my laptop screen while thinking along the lines of, I have a bank account which allows me to access my funds from an internet app. I can send money to anyone I want. As a matter of fact, I've never faced any restrictions. Why do I need this? Then I looked at Bitcoin's use cases and noticed that it's being used on dark markets to buy drugs and guns. I'm a good person, a law-abiding citizen, I say to myself. So I started fearing Bitcoin and the changes that it might bring to my surroundings, and as a facilitator of activities I dislike. That same year, I couldn't pay my rent to the student accommodation company, SGS Göteborg, because I needed a Swedish bank account. So I went to a Swedish bank to try to open an account with them. But since I wasn't a proper resident, I was in Gothenburg as an exchange student, and I had no income outside my scholarship. They couldn't help me. That's when I withdrew cash from an ATM and took a walk to the housing company's office to attempt a physical payment. They told me that they can't accept cash because it looks suspicious, and I'm supposed to wire the money to their bank account. When I explained to them that my bank won't accept transfers to their accounts, different countries with different IBAN codes, and no local bank will allow me to do business with them in the absence of extra papers that I did not have, the suggestion was to try Western Union or MoneyGram. The next day I went to MoneyGram and I took one of their forms, filled it in while waiting in a long line, accepted to pay a €30 transaction fee and a €600 payment, but still hit a bureaucratic roadblock. The lady behind the counter told me that customers from outside the Schengen area, which Romania is not a part of, must show their passport, which I did not have since I traveled there with my national ID. I went to Western Union and found the exact same problem. I was holding Swedish crowns in cash, had no means to deposit it back into my Romanian bank account. Nobody wanted to help me pay my rent without seeing a passport. Since my national ID was not good enough for them, I had to go to university and ask a classmate of mine from Ireland, a country which is part of the Schengen area, to fill in the MoneyGram form in his name, wait in line, and make the payment with cash I'm giving him. To perform a financial transaction as basic as paying my rent, I had to find a friendly proxy who had all the right papers to fulfill a MoneyGram wire transfer. Thanks, Adam Balance! Exclamation mark. And yet, I still regarded Bitcoin as something dangerous and irrational, fearing its effects. 2 years later, at the age of 23, I was an exchange student in France. This time I could only pay my rent in cash, because the landlord did not want to sign a contract and pay taxes. But in the absence of this funny paper, I couldn't open a bank account and therefore had no access to student discounts for public transportations or a SIM card for a couple of months. I had no means to use my mobile phone for calls, and I paid full price for everything. That was when I figured out another way to use a proxy. A fellow Romanian classmate accepted to receive cash payment in exchange for letting me use one of their SIM cards. I would sometimes also help me to get cheaper tickets for the subway train. God bless her. I hope she's doing well these days. How is that, my good man?
Sorry, I was muted. That was incredible. I think I'm going to cut out this part and upload it separately because I love it.
Thank you, my good man. I'm glad to be of service somehow, so.
Let's get back to Civ Kit for a little while. When should people expect to launch their own marketplaces, and what's the user interface going to look like? Because I guess that's a big concern for people wanting to sell stuff.
Well, Civ Kit itself is not going to have a user interface. It is back-end infrastructure. If that, yeah. But we do have companies or people that are looking to build on top.
Yeah.
But there's not going to be a default UI for start. I mean, we may build like a sample app to help show it to people, like a RoboSaps type marketplace. But that's, yeah, that. But I'm not sure that would be 100% usable. But that's where we are right now. So the first code drop is just going to be backend infrastructure to get people playing with it, starting looking to see how they can build on top.
Okay, I guess that's an answer. So
yeah, so let's say the first code that ships, Nick, you're going to think that's usable. Like, when do you think I potentially could ask my buddies over at, say, No One's or Peach Marketplace to try to mirror their order book on Nostr as just a start?
I think we're hoping for end of I was going to say September, October.
That's beautiful. Okay, that's beautiful. So
Yeah.
then let's say by October, or let's even say by November, you'll be able to at least, mirror all your liquidity on Nostr, a simple DigitalOcean instance. We would also at that point launch a progressive web app that's like a Nostr relay browser, just like the marketplace that was on Paxful and now No One's, all these companies, and you'll be able to browse all these offers, right? You click on a trade, and then let's say, would we have something ready by then where there could actually be the escrow, the Lightning-based escrow? Is that so? Are we actually going to be able to complete the trade there?
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Sorry.
In addition to the Nostr order book, will the Lightning escrow, the hash time lock contracts be ready by then too, so people could actually complete a trade that they found on said order book?
Yeah, I think the staking credentials will take more time, but that's yeah, I think so.
Okay, so the staking credentials will not be required to complete a first trade or any number of trades. So the basic, listing of orders and the trading will be to happen, let's say, by the beginning of November, like end of October, let's say. Amazing. So I've already designed how these, front ends are going to look like. We'll be releasing that as progressive web apps with the marketplace maker experience too, so people can set up their own marketplace. That's going to take a bit more doing, right? Because, it's interesting. How do you? It's like you're basically setting up your own white label of a Paxful, but it's completely decentralized, right? It's a bit of a process, but I will make sure that happens at least in 2 separate places. So we can say we expect to have some real volume on this thing by the end of the year, and we want to drive massive volumes. And we think the first people that are going to open up their own marketplaces are going to be in places like Venezuela or Lebanon or Russia, and we'll be very curious to see the kind of liquidity that gets listed on there, right? Because these people are hungry for hard money. How's that going to look like? There's going to have to be corridors built up between all of these global South nations. And that's where it really gets interesting, because the map, the circulatory system of how that money is flowing from where is, it's going to be affected, of course, by our hustle on business acumen to create those corridors, but primarily it's going to be driven by real necessity. All of these marketplaces, you're going to see what they actually need. Oh, Kenya has a huge hunger for Bitcoin. So does Lebanon. So does Argentina. There's a corridor here between Dominican Republic and Rwanda, or Zambia and Dubai, and Khartoum and Riyadh. What's going on over here? You're going to start seeing where the not just the pain points, but the corridors of relief are going to be. Right, because every time something breaks in the financial system, when money is not flowing in a certain direction, there's hemorrhage here, or a drought over here, this system will come into the rescue. That's the whole point. That's why it's so powerful. That's why this is the solution against financial apartheid, right? Because when it starves certain cells and organs of blood, this thing will come in and relieve the blood. And where blood gets trapped in certain places, it'll come in and redirect that flow to where it's needed. Why? Because it's the people making decisions. It's peer-to-peer. It's not the same entities that have been corrupted and responsible for maintaining this system. We cannot count on them. It is now the people coming to the people. Just like you're in your article, Vlad, the proxy. You found your buddy who was a proxy. He was a peer, You happen to be your friend, and he happened to have an account that could actually help you. And all this marketplace will do is will introduce you to an army of those magical money friends around the world, like me, like my friends. They're on there too, and they can help you with these particular corridors and payment methods. And everyone will be able to list their financial service or their financial need, and people will be able to find each other and help each other and make profit the whole while. That is the beauty of free trade. You're only going to have free trade once you have a free market for money. Once the money can flow around, everything changes. And we see how fast that happens. Within this experiment we call humanity, we have seen that if humans are left with an honest system of money, the result is always wealth, prosperity, and abundance. 13 colonies in America proved that. You know, you can either believe that we're just a bunch of hairless primates on a ball of dust, or fighting for, you know, our survival in some like Leviathan kind of hell, or you can understand that humans were designed in a beautiful way where our work, you know, if properly focused, we can do so much in such a short amount of time. We can put everyone to work with the technology we have. Everything can be scaled and heightened. And we're going to have great lives. We don't have to fight. 13 colonies prove that. You know, I don't know if people understand the story of that, but every libertarian should be aware that the reason that the Revolutionary War happened wasn't because people were pissed off at, you know, a tea tax. It wasn't the price of tea that made these guys go fight the British Empire, which was the mightiest army in the world at the time. They certainly didn't want that. These were Englishmen that had a hard enough time, you know, building up their lives. But because they had a system of money that was honest and they could put everyone to work, everyone was working, and their efficiency was optimized. And you had, you know, your average colonialist in 13 colonies having a better standard of living than a nobleman in France. That was the saying, such that when Benjamin Franklin went over to see the king asked him, "What's going on? Why are you guys so prosperous over there? What's your money? Is it backed by gold? Did you find a huge gold mine or what?" Benjamin Franklin said, "No gold, no silver. We just have colonial script, and it's just backed up by the work of the people. That's it. We just keep colonial script enough in circulation to match the amount of potential work. Then we put those people to work, and when everyone's working harder and more infrastructure, more wealth, everything is being created rapidly." He's like, "Wow, that's amazing." Well, that has to stop. You're going to take, you know, the pound now. You know, don't worry, it's backed by gold. And within a year later, they entered this deflationary situation where there wasn't enough money in circulation to match the amount of potential work, and there was 60% unemployment. And the economy was cratered. And these guys said, "Hey, wait, just last year we were all living a great life. And now we're all busted. We're in the ghetto. Like, there's no way they weren't going to tolerate that. And the crown was not going to budge. So it was war. They were fighting for their livelihood and their prosperity. And as fast as it happened back then, it can happen even faster now anywhere. If any one of these nations in the global south breaks away from this financial apartheid system, you're going to see them shoot up like this, especially if they have the right leadership. Nayib Bukele is one such example in Ecuador. If he wasn't using the US dollar,
not Ecuador.
El Salvador. Yeah, El Salvador. So if he didn't have the US dollar, his currency would be in the gutter right now, it'd be another Venezuela. But they can't attack him like that. So then it's going to be a media war. So that's a really amazing experiment to look at. And remember, these guys around the world hate it when any such countries like this break away. Haiti was actually the first country to break away from these guys over 200 years ago. And they were so embarrassed. All the other, you know, evil bankers were like, "How could you let your slaves break away from you like that?" Well, look, these guys never forgave the Haitian people. They never forgave them. That's why these people are so, like, they will not let them get their nose above water, not even for a second. The situation is so bad there. We're talking about a fight against the forces of darkness. Okay, I'll stop right there. You guys can take it away, man. It might get too dramatic right now, you know, but this is really what we're doing, right? Like, at the end of it all, we're up against a side that won't budge. They know their system is not just broken, but it's engineered against us. And what are you going to do? They have so many ways to attack us, right? They can call you a money launderer and put you in jail. They can, attack your whole community, which they do to us Bitcoiners, but we've been holding strong because we basically have like a stock in this whole effort. Like imagine if the internet had a stock. It's basically called Bitcoin, honestly. Bitcoin is bigger than all of that, right? And because we have this way to keep track and support and enrich ourselves, we have this massive community of true believers that will always hold the line. Humanity does not have that. There's nowhere else that you can look except maybe Islam, where people are willing to defend their boundaries. Bitcoin maxis hold the line. They are the monotheists, the true believers. Humanity doesn't have that anywhere else. That's why we have to make this thing stick, and I believe we don't have much time. 7 years maximum. They keep talking about 2030 because they've got all these little evil eggs set to hatch and make our lives miserable. It could be another COVID in 2 years. It could be a numerous amount of false flags, psyops, and just weird shit that these guys are going to throw at us. So above all, to impart a sense of urgency. Let's get a move on. Hop, hop, as my French teacher would say.
That was inspirational. Let me salute you for that. I would also have a drink if I had one in front of me. But there's someone in the chat named
water.
Fraser Henry who made a practical remark about what Civ Kit can do. And he said that gift cards trade escrow is far from perfect. And he hopes that Civ Kit would make it easier to trade these gift cards.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So let's actually talk about this. So look, if you go into my, when I was the CEO of Paxful, if you went on my Twitter timeline, every day, someone would be coming out calling me a scammer. You scammer, Ray, you scammer. Like he lost a dispute for his $50 gift card, right? And he's now accusing me of being in cahoots and somehow trying to defraud him of his $50 gift card. That's not the case. If you're not getting that kind of feedback from your users, then you're not doing it. You're not making any difference in the world. Let me put it to you that way. So I kind of take that with a badge of honor, but it shows you how big of a problem dispute resolution is. And the reason you keep getting into these disputes is because gift cards are a hugely problematic payment method. Gift cards are the only digital asset besides Bitcoin, right? And one of the few, and they're the only one you can actually buy with cash in like a gas station. You know what I mean? It's a huge way to onboard people. The problem is, and it's a $140 billion a year economy, so it's a great tool. We should have used it for onboarding like crazy, and at Paxful I did, and I still continue to do so every way I can. The problem with gift cards is that there's a lot of fraud because 98% of all the gift card programs in the world are run by two sketchy American companies that refuse to show their ledger publicly of these gift cards that they issue. There's no way for you to tell if an Amazon gift card code is good until you redeem it. So if there's a dispute, like some guy from Nigeria has this Amazon gift card code that his cousin sent him that he bought in a gas station in Pasadena, California. He's doing a trade with some guy in China, and he's giving him his gift card for a huge old discount. He gives it to the Chinese dude. The Chinese dude's like, man, this gift card code is bad. But actually, it wasn't. It was good. But the guy, this guy buys the discounted gift cards from China. He does 1,000 trades a day. And he decided to selectively scam this one guy. And say this one guy with a gift card, this was his first trade. How do you know he hasn't used that gift card before? How do you know that this guy with 1,000 trades is actually scamming this guy? He's done 9,999 good trades just that day. But he decides to selectively scam. And it's a thing. It's called ripping. And the Chinese rippers have a name for it. Oh, we're just brushing. They call it brushing. I'm like, bro, this is wrong. This is a crime. Oh, no. We just do it as part of our business. Well, I'm like, yeah, but I'm actually talking to them in a chat as a moderator. When I'm like, yo, but this is fraud. This is theft. This is bad. And they're like, oh, everyone does it. They don't see it. It's like, it's funny, a lot of people think Nigerians are scammers. There's fraud in Nigeria just like everywhere else. But I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. I was in a trade once, and it's two Nigerian dudes, and it's a gift card trade, and they're yelling at each other, cursing at each other in pidgin English. I'm like, oh, okay, let me see what's going on here. Something was a little off, the moment I kept talking to them. It was weird. It was like they were trying too hard to, I don't know. I look into one of these guys' profile. I'm like, oh shit, this guy's actually Chinese. He's just pretending to be Nigerian. He was pretending to be Nigerian because he knows that when the Chinese do a lot of fraud in peer-to-peer, let me tell you, he knows he would get better treatment somehow. I'm like, I called him out on it. He's like, yeah, I am. And guess what? The other guy was Chinese too, pretending to be Nigerian. I don't know if they were even both aware or if they were playing me or whatever, but bro, this shit was, we had to protect the Nigerians from the Chinese. This gift card business exposes so much of the problems, but yet so many of the opportunities. So how do we solve this problem? The friction comes into the dispute. And how do you know like who won? Like, it's hard for us to know, even though we've been doing this for 8 years. We look at all the metadata and the information. We try to make a decision. And you can do a lot of that, but it comes to us, within a few percentage points where you almost have to do a coin toss. You can't conclusively determine. And that's why people will come on and say, hey, Ray, your moderator is in cahoots with the enemy. But it's not. It's just, how do you do it? It's like an impossible problem. So the only way to do it is to take the entire dispute moderation process and make it into its own peer-to-peer marketplace. So, let's say, there's no one's, they have their own moderators, but there's like, hey, another company joins here and we call it whatever, Civ Mods. And their job is to bring on moderators from all over the world, onboard them and peer review them and keep them honest. And we say, hey, you want to use the local, our native mods? Well, they're free, but there's a 3-day waiting period. You want to use this company's mods or even Vlad or Nick, you guys can list yourself separately there as mods as well. And you'll charge a fee, right? You'll take 20 basis points, whatever, for your services. And the system will say, okay, you want a peer-to-peer mod? Well, we'll choose randomly for you, based on the languages these guys speak, the payment methods that these guys specialize in, and, their success record, their volume. Oh, you're doing a $10,000 trade? Well, this guy often does $10,000 trades. We'll cryptographically randomly choose one for you, and then the dispute will begin, and then you guys will moderate, or any of these peer-to-peer mods will moderate. They'll render a decision. The losing side has, let's say, 1 hour to appeal it. And then they have to pay the fee completely theirs. And if the appeal process is another area of design, because now you're going deeper into the contingency factors. It could just be another randomly selected mod, or we could have like 4 or 5 mods each go in there and pool in, and they share the pool. And if they overturn the other mod, they get, we'd have to factor those mechanics in, like they would get the fee, etc., and you'd have to have these mods put up a kind of security deposit, and then like being overruled by one mod or several mods would count against your reputation as a moderator. That all needs to be specced out, and that peer-to-peer dispute resolution system is going to be a work of genius, honestly, and someone needs to do it. No one's done it yet. We're doing that. That's going to be built into Civ Kit. Gift cards are a great first application for that. But these moderators will be needed in huge transactions, right? Like real estate or, big OTC deals or things like that. So, and these guys will be able to make money as well. So it's a birth of a new industry. There's companies in Germany like Klarna that just does disputes for e-commerce. It's a huge multi-billion-dollar company. But as this peer-to-peer industry grows on CivKit, you're going to need a whole crop of these peer-to-peer mods and these companies that specialize in onboarding, vetting, and keeping these guys honest. So that's another huge business for anyone that's smart out there and listening. You can be, waiting for Pepe to spike and cashing out and playing bullshit games like that. You can be building real businesses that solve real problems like this. I welcome the competition. Did that make sense, sir? Did I answer your gift card question? Damn you.
I sure hope so. It was more elaborate than he expected. He also said that it's simple to find truth on gift card trades. I'm not sure if that's honestly a good take. But something that I want to mention is that I'm especially interested sometimes in video game codes that I can get at a discount on websites such as g2a.com and kingwin.com. No endorsement here, but these are the places where you find video games for like $5 and they cost like 60 on, legit markets. My camera is about to die, so don't get scared. I'm going to replace the battery immediately. But what I wanted to say is that I see this as being a huge market and potentially something big for CivKit, this video game industry with all the codes that are being traded between gamers.
Yeah, these codes to buy the actual game cartridge at a discount, or what? Or in-game
No, there are
items?
download codes on your computer. So you input that code and you get access to download the game that you want.
Oh, cool. Cheap game keys. This is cool. He's right. This is right. Put me in contact, brother, whoever is there. Message me on Telegram, Ray Civ Kit on Telegram, my good man. Send me a holla. So we'll squeeze more brilliant takes out of you. Vlad, we miss you already. Nick, you went off camera too, bro? You just got shy and just disappeared, bro? I'm just here by my pretty lonesome. There we go.
Camera's playing up.
Sure it is.
I'm changing my battery right now.
Well, perhaps I should continue reading from Breaking FUD. This was great, man. I enjoyed this. You're a good writer. I enjoyed your story, Vlad.
Thank you. I used to write for Bitcoin Magazine at one point, but I gave up. I quit, and I said I'm going to do this for myself. So I'm doing my own magazine.
Nice.
This is the third one.
Really? That's beautiful, bro.
And it's open source. That's the killing app about it, that anyone can download it, translate it. Last year, it was translated in Spanish and French, and it was handed at the El Salvador conference, which is called Adopting Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It was an honor for me to be there and have my magazine featured and promoted. I didn't make any money out of it, which is, I guess, the problem that I'm trying to solve. But at the same time, providing knowledge and being a facilitator for people to learn more about Bitcoin, I think that's the most noble part of this mission.
Yeah, you know what? People that make content that don't get compensated for it are like, that's a problem, right? Like, there's so much great content that could be built if people just make money off of it. So I think about people like yourself, how to help them. How can CivKit help all these great content producers that have a hard way to monetize their content, especially in the beginning? YouTubers are just one example. Political YouTubers have been destroyed by YouTube, right? So they're looking for other ways to monetize their content. How can they do so? Are they all going to use Bybit referral links? Obviously not. You're not going to be a part of that rubbish, right? Neither am I. So I think about you and what you could do now. You starting your own CivKit marketplace. Well, that's a big job. You might want to start Transylvania Mart, but you might want to just send users to other markets that are doing well as well. And I think there should be a kind of referral program built into each of these markets to help these marketplaces grow, like people that introduce liquidity, introduce customers into the network should be compensated, because I would build that on any of the centralized projects or brands on the brands on top of, I build on top of CivKit. So I do think about, your lot, Vlad, and how we can line your pockets as well so that everyone eats at the table. Everyone should eat, That's the magic of all of this. We want everyone to eat. You get a chair and a plate at the table. Think we can make it happen, Nick?
In 2 weeks, yeah, sure.
I'll take that.
I enjoy this 2 weeks meme. But you can also, if you want, and you're listening to this, you can get this magazine on shopinbit.com. I guess if you're from the US, you have to pay a lot for shipping, so I'm not sure if it's a good idea. But if you're from Europe or Asia, I think you can get a print. And I'm not sure what percentage of the sales I'm getting, but I'm happy that the
Bro,
knowledge gets spread around.
I want to do a cover on your magazine, bro. It's gonna be 16-bit. Me, bro. I'm gonna design it myself. You're gonna love it, bro.
Oh,
Little
do that.
16-bit red.
Actually, I didn't tell you, but
16-bit.
last year I had all sorts of Bitcoin artists doing their own version of the cover. So I have Bitco, for example, who is well known in the community. I have Jay Skrilla, who also did one. I have Cypherpunk now. There are lots of guys who did stuff and they created their own cover. So if you, Ray, would do your own version of this or a totally different concept, it would be my honor and I would promote it.
That's awesome, bro. I'm thinking of it right now. It's gonna be Shining Force style, bro. The back view, the monster in front of you. I'm casting some spell, bro. Blaze level 8, man. I'm really a magician, bro. That's me. A hobbit, a magician, with the body of an orc.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cool. I just had to look up Shining Force. It's an RPG.
Shining Force is the dopest, bro. They had the dopest battle system, man. It was so good. It was for the Sega Genesis 1 and 2. That was a good game, man. Legendary game, bro. Legendary. I'm gonna pack it. Hero Bitcoin has helped me with all this pixel art, and I think that's gonna be it, man. So, my good man, Civ Kit. Civ Kit is the solution to a lot of things, and it's run by a small team, and it's getting started just like Bitcoin is getting started, and there's no big VCs or any of these people behind it. It's just a bunch of true believers doing the right thing, and we're coming from the streets here, and that's why Civ Kit is very different than any project in this space, because this team is not just a bunch of really smart people like all these other projects are. It's coming from the streets, 8 years of experience making this happen on the streets, building real traction. It's building for people. It's focused from the ground up, and it's focused on the global south from the start. There's no other team that has any of that, despite what they might say. And there's a lot of people starting to use the same language as we are, which is great, and that should continue. But make no mistake, we're the guys that are from the streets, doing it for the streets, and we know how to drive business. So all these apps, are going to actually drive volume. We're not going to come out with any BS. Even if it's Satoshi Dice, but it drives volume, that's good. We need to show people what's actually possible here, because we don't have much time to do this here. And we're thinking from a very business perspective. So if you're someone that's excited about this and you have a lot of great ideas, you tried building on Ethereum and all this stuff, but you've come over to see that the only way we're going to do this and make it stick is on Bitcoin, then do contact us, because I got plenty of my ideas that I want you to steal, and I'll be helping you along. You hear it?
And Nicholas also seems excited to build stuff. If you pitch him good ideas, he's gonna code them.
Yeah,
Or
exactly. This team is
I'll get a bunch of guys smarter than me to code them. But yeah, we've had a lot of fun building this. Yeah, and there's been a lot of people that are not on the paper that have helped out. People like my co-founder, Dr. Tom, people like in the Lightning community that helped out on the paper and want to contribute. And there's I think we were speaking to Bob McElrath the other day. He was bouncing ideas of a DEX on top of this. There's a lot of people involved that want to come and build. So it's bigger than what it looks. It's not just us three. There's probably 8-10 people. Your friend as well, Vlad. Remember Yuval? Nothing much. He pitched a lot of ideas for the paper as well. He reviewed it. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's all kind of underground right now, but there's a lot of really brilliant, OGs here, and they're just excited about this because it's a real project. It's not just a bunch of VCs got together and trying to figure out how they can launch their next token or whatever. It's a bunch of people that have been solving real problems on the ground for the past decade that want to take it into the stratosphere. They want to turn this whole thing into a mycelium network. I want 1,000 companies competing with me in peer-to-peer. I want 1,000 hackers showing me how they can do it better. And I want people making money. I want everyone to eat at the same table. And it's possible. It really is. Once humanity is an unstoppable free market, that's when everything changes. What BRICS has just started doing now, they're really kind of 20 years too late, but they've just started now, like really building these corridors between each other, bypassing not just the US dollar, but more importantly, the US Treasury, these SWIFT rails, right? What they've begun doing, we now have to do for the streets. It's already started with Bitcoin peer-to-peer, especially in places like Africa, Southeast Asia, Latin America, etc., the global South. But we can take that into ultra, hyperdrive, warp drive right now by letting everyone do this, by letting all these marketplaces go up, by making it completely permissionless. All these smart young people that traded on services like Paxful, No One's, whatever, Binance peer-to-peer, now they can set up their own marketplace. And the user experience will be easy, even simpler in many ways, right? Because you don't have to KYC if you don't want to. Whatever marketplace I build on it, I'm going to have to. So I have to be Mr. Compliant because I'm Mr. American citizen, but no one else has to be. I'm sure most of those services will be nice and clean, but anyone can build anything they want on there, right? For any market or any audience they want. If the Ayatollah Khomeini wanted to do it, man, I couldn't stop that brother. Whatever, man. He creates Fez Marketplace. Cool. Anyone can build anything. Like, when is the last time we've had that? Right? If you think about if this is actually successful, inshallah it will be. Well, you can see, honestly, like why I want so much competition. Because I don't want to be the only target. Really. They can take the head off any one person. They can say this fool thinks he's the next Ross Ulbricht, even though I'm only doing clean things on there. But if everyone is on there with their own marketplace, you can't stop an army of mosquitoes. Let's come at them like that. I've got plenty of ideas for everyone to steal. Please come build it. We're going to make it as easy as possible to build on. You set up your DigitalOcean server, set up your Civ Kit node by running a script on it. Just type in the variables, press the button, and it just fucking goes. And then you do the work of bringing in those users, and that's it, man. Then you're managing the marketplace, right? You can change those variables at any time. The dispute resolution is going to have to be a big part of it. Until that's ready to go, we'll probably have a button there called, I don't know, roll them bones, roll the dice, 50-50, whatever. But you'll be able to get started soon. November, ladies and gentlemen. The first trade will happen on Civ Kit. It'll be me and Nick trading an old worn-out pair of socks, radioactive socks encased in a Leyden jar from the 18th century, owned by Michael Faraday himself and passed on to the great William Crookes. 5,000 sats.
Why not?
You're very good at this, Ray. I gotta give it to you.
Something's wrong with me, I know, bro, but it's a talent which should be somehow utilized. I just can't find the outlets. But yeah, this will work for now.
So before I ask you another question, I have to mention that Shop and Bit is another sponsor of the show, and they're selling everything from electronics to watches to anything you can think of. You can even tell them to order something for you, and they're gonna bring it as long as it's legal in Poland. And they even sell this magazine, which they designed in a different way with a golden cover. And they sell it for €29.71. You can use promo code BTCTKVR to get €5 off. And you can get lots of other stuff. They're basically Amazon, but with Bitcoin. And if I catch the signal from this conversation, these guys will probably be obsolete by November when this new marketplace called Civ Kit, actually this kit for marketplaces, launches and allows anyone to sell for Bitcoin worldwide. No centralization.
No, they can get their marketplace on there. Like, pulled up a Civ Kit mirror of it. Why not? Right? They have the URL already. We can help them put it on there so that everyone can access their liquidity. I mean, the question is, how would it help them to put this on Civ Kit? People can only get on there with Google Chrome, right? Now people can get on there with this. What would they sell there that they couldn't right now? How would it help grow their business for what they have? That's the question to ask. Like, why would they get on CivKit besides just being a novelty? They're not going to sell anything different there that they wouldn't otherwise sell. Perhaps they could access people that they couldn't otherwise access to. I'm not even sure that's a problem since they're selling, T-shirts and whatnot there. They probably already accept Bitcoin. So why? Why should they get on CivKit? That's a good question for us to think from a business perspective, right?
Yeah. Also, CivKit, since it's going to enable peer-to-peer trading of gift cards, it's going to compete with services such as Bitrefill. And I guess it's more productive if you somehow manage to integrate their infrastructure into CivKit, because you also make them decentralized and you're making them more censorship resistant. In the future, if any regulation disrupts their business model, they're still going to be able to
Yeah,
have this as a backup plan.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Bitrefill would be a prime candidate to build CivKit. Just mirror all your offers on there and let people trade on there. And they'd still make, could set it to make a cut of those transactions as well. So it'd be, a profitable venture for them, which is great. Then they would definitely do it. But this magazine, I'm not sure. I'll have to go to the site and see what they're selling there. But they could actually include just, because they're in Poland, right? They got to go to a Polish audience. Maybe those people in Poland, we could list offers from other Polish traders. They're like, hey, did you just land in Poland? You want 10,000 euros in cash delivered to your hotel room in exchange for Bitcoin? Well, here you go. Do a trade with me. And because, they're listing that kind of traffic, they would get a cut of those transactions. I think that's a great idea, actually. Oh, yeah. And that'd be easy to do with just a link, right? They're basically an affiliate in that sense. And they're just sharing that link, right? That's beautiful. And whatever other OTC services they can relay there. So instead of putting a link to Google for Google AdSense or whatever, you have a link to a CivKit marketplace that would have use for their audience, people in Poland, let's say. Other things will come to me, I'm sure. But yes, there should be something to do here for everyone. Because we need to grow this network, this mycelium neural network, as quickly as possible. And that means everyone needs to eat, which means everyone gets a cut of the money that's produced by all these trades. Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful that there's going to be this infrastructure, just like Nostr enables social media people to gravitate towards a platform where they cannot be censored and they can run their own relay to make sure that they're going to be able to broadcast their message into the world and nobody else can censor them. In the same way, I guess there's going to be CivKit for marketplaces where you can list your stuff and there's no way you can get canceled for whatever it is that you're selling. And by canceled, I remember there was this guy who was selling hats and he ran out of business. And he found his niche among conservatives in the United States. And they were the ones that saved him by buying more hats. But it's about these people who might be politically incorrect for whatever reason. They might say something and that destroys their clientele, I guess, locally, but they can find a different marketplace somewhere else in the world. I think that's the beauty of it, and the fact that they cannot get censored. Is there a cut? Is there a fee that CivKit takes from merchants?
No, the protocol takes no cut whatsoever. The protocol doesn't make money at all. You as a marketplace master, you're a market master, you're setting up your marketplace, you're paying for the server space, you're, managing things. You will charge your customers on your marketplace, like you'll take something from the escrow fee. But CivKit, the protocol doesn't take anything from that, no. And you can set the price as the market master for whatever you want it to be. If you want to make a donation to CivKit Foundation to keep, things going, please do. But that's purely voluntary.
That's really beautiful. How can people follow the development of the project and contribute? What are the best places?
We have a
And
Discord
you can go
channel.
to civkit.org. Discord, yeah.
Yeah, we have a Discord channel that we list on our website, and we do have a GitHub account with a white paper. You'll see a code drop in the next few weeks, and then come in, join in the fun.
Yeah, so far right now, what you can find on the website is the white paper,
Yeah.
which, as I mentioned, is long but promising and has lots of math and diagrams in it.
Yeah, we do have a Discord channel, which people have been popping in and asking questions, a bit more interactive. But yeah, I think a lot of this will make sense once the first code drop is done. And I think that's when we'll see a lot more activity.
Yeah, let me show the web page once again. So there is this Akita. I called it a Husky, but it's actually an Akita that's on the laptop. The symbol of this peer-to-peer electronic free market, which is actually a framework that anyone can use to develop their own free markets. And there's this joint team Hachiko. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but
Hachiko,
you
you got it right.
and you go to Discord. And I'm not registered to Discord.
If you want to know Hachiko's story, watch this movie with Richard Gere called Hachi, Hachi. If you don't cry at least 3 times in that movie, you're not even human. That's all I'm going to say.
Is it about that dog who was super faithful to his owner and waited at the train station for years?
Yes, that's him. That's Hachi, bro. He's such a good boy. He's the best, man. He's untouchable, bro. There's a statue of him up in Japan, bro. I have to visit.
Yeah, the best boy ever.
Ever, bro. This guy was like OG, man. He wasn't going anywhere, bro. We don't deserve dogs, my good man. Let me tell you. Wish I had one.
I've also put some links to your personal Twitter accounts in the description of this video. If you guys listening to this or watching this want to follow them for whatever reason, you want to follow them for their jokes or for their great contributions to the Bitcoin space, you have the means to do that. And is there any other way through which they can reach you?
You mean it's the Old Man Pub, isn't that right, Nick? Every Wednesday night in London at the Old Man Pub. That's correct.
We'll all be present, and we'll all be present at Surfing Bitcoin at the end of August in Biarritz. So me, Ray, and Antoine will be speaking there, and we might have a Civ Kit party. If you look at Ray's old parties, it should be wild.
Should be fun, my good man. No liquor, my good man. Just good vibes. Intense meditation. Kundalini yoga, my good man. Arm wrestling. 1-arm push-up contest led by Nick Gregory himself. And me. There'll be a squat rack installed there and we can get it on, my good man. We'll see. We'll see who doesn't skip leg day for real. Because I'm telling you, I'm the only one in the space. Me and Nick are the only ones that don't, bro. We're the real deal. The real deal, man.
I can already see that you're going to have a great audience within the toxic masculine, meat-eating, very muscular Bitcoin community. They like working out. They like steaks. They like 1-arm push-up contests. They like all of that, possibly even drinking contests. So you're going to have a great convergence of audiences if you follow that line.
I think that's why me and Ray first met. We were at a BitDevs in New York. And we clearly looked like the only 2 guys there that had ever been to a gym. So we were talking about protein shakes after in the after meetups pub. But
bro, I gave protein shakes and all kind of supplements to our office in Estonia because I really wanted to take care of people. Yeah. Dude, these fat lazy bastards never touched that shit, bro. It was wasted. I consumed it all, bro. I was turning into a monster. Bro, we haven't even gotten into it's just been a really positive interview, Vlad. I haven't gone into any smack talk or anything. I don't like doing that. That's good about what happened over at PAX. But let me tell you, my good man, there will be an article that is coming soon, which will flay about all the madness. And you'll be horrified, beyond horrified. and you'll understand my struggle these past 8 years, what I've been through. I was hoping to do a lot more by now, my good man. But we may all make mistakes. I made an expensive one. But I'll deal with it, sir. Because the prize is so great, it's worth everything. It truly is, brother.
I did see
I'm
the
looking
drama
forward.
surrounding, first of all, the fact that you had to pay the customers out of your own pockets. And then there was another issue that you basically told us in advance that there's going to be a Paxful token on Ethereum or something that they're going to deploy.
I don't know what this new CEO is going to do. I have no idea, but he's got a DeFi background. Look, hopefully he does a great job. I don't know, but the whole struggle I had with Paxful is that my co-founder was a total fucking degen. He didn't start out that way, but he turned into that, and the money really changed him, and it just became a battle. He wanted to put everything on there, Doge, this, that, all these DeFi yield, this, and I was like, no. But unfortunately, I let Celsius get through. People lost money, and we, paid them out of my own pocket to make that right. But, a lot more should have stopped, let me tell you, and that's good. So I don't know where it's going to go right now. But, the truth was, I wasn't just building the business. I pretty much was the business. So if they want to try, to make do with this domain name and try to lure people back in, I can't stop them from doing so. And legally, I'm not allowed to tell people why they shouldn't go back there, because they'll sue me, claiming that I had information as a director that hurt the business, but I don't trade there. And there's a reason for that. I'll let people find out for themselves. But yeah, guys, I was almost in contempt of court. They've been trying to get a gag order on me, like crazy shit. I can read it in the court documents, all because my co-founder is dreaming of this 9-figure exit, which is insanity, basically. An American company can never serve the global South. That's the truth. I encourage everyone here to stay away from any American company, any global South either, especially. America's policy is all about the confiscation of funds. If you get, someone sends you $10 from an Iranian exchange to your Bitcoin address, well, guess what? Your whole account is now blocked. All funds frozen. Uncle Sam considers you an enemy combatant in a lot of ways, really. And all your shit is frozen until the regulator says, oh, it's okay. And they might never say that. And that's how American compliance is. It isn't just the KYC it's broken. Your money is not yours if it belongs to any American company. And the CEO cannot overrule any compliance decision. That's a crime, actually. That goes for anywhere in the West. So anyone from the global South that's listening to this, don't trust any Western company with money, especially not American. You might as well literally burn your money. If I have to tell you two things to protect you, number one, use 2FA in this business. If you don't use 2FA, your money's gone. And number two, don't ever keep your money with an American company, because the lines have been drawn. It's basically the global South versus the West right now. And what's happening with BRICS and America and Russia and China is just a foreshadowing. But the war has been raging for a while. It's just now that the global South is thinking, you know what? We don't really need these guys anymore. We can all start moving together, building a better system or using Bitcoin or whatever. Let's just move forward. Forget these guys. So it's already happening. The lines have been drawn. Choose your side. You can either choose the corpse on one side, with the big guns and nukes, or you can choose the vibrant young youth on the other side that are building a new world. Pick carefully. I'm done.
I'm not
actually.
sure if I can say anything smart or interesting after this speech.
I had to stop there, bro. Beyond that, Nick knows where I go, and man, I get canceled immediately, bro. SEALs would be coming down, bro. Black Hawk helicopters. We get the hell out of Dodge, man. But yeah, it is like that, So that's why we're doing all this stuff, guys. Like, there's not many real people in this space, but we are real people. We really do value the truth, but the point at history we're around right now, the only thing that matters is winning. That's it. Winning is the only thing that matters right now. And you might think that's a toxic like way to go about things, but no, it's the only way to win. Look, what gives you victory in any kind of fight is not, superior numbers, strength, even intelligence. All those things can be compensated and strategized against. What gives you success, victory, is being willing and able to do what the other guy won't do. You have to be willing to do what the other guy won't, to go that inch further than them. That's very challenging, right? When you're up against these evil men that worship demons and are willing to do anything, any crime, any tyranny, no matter how heinous or inhuman. How can you possibly go farther than them? The answer to that is what the real believers understand. And don't worry, it's nothing crazy or horrifying. It's actually the most beautiful thing in the world. Maybe I'll keep people guessing until next time, or maybe I'll just tell them the only thing that these evil guys aren't willing to do is to submit to the one God, to say there's something greater than them, and to worship and defer to that thing, that entity. I do that every single day. That's what's going to give us victory. Sounds cheesy, sounds corny, but spiritually it's everything. Because if you are of that mindset, you will have an open heart. And if you have an open heart, you'll recognize someone else with an open heart. You'll recognize that everything that I'm saying and what I'm building with the people that I brought around me is the real deal. It's genuine. Whether it'll succeed or not, that's down to my execution and, the cohesion of the team, which is hard to do, but I have executed on this before. Putting all these new pieces together is extremely difficult. But if you truly do have the favor of the Creator, then you can do it. As long as God is with you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if every human being in the world is against you. As long as the angels sing your name, what care do you have of that? You're going to win. And we have a lot against us, guys. We're up against these bankers that own the biggest, tallest buildings in every city, the navies of the world. What do we have? We have all of this collective energy that is trapped in all these unemployed young people and all this stale money sitting around. And we just want to make it flow. And we have the tools. We have the internet. We have mobile phones. We have peer-to-peer electronic cash, which is lovingly called Bitcoin. And we have this community of believers willing to defend it and evangelize for it. Now we just have to finish the job. That means we need this marketplace. Civ Kit is the solution. We are building around Bitcoin in the right way, with the right pieces, in the right order, with a mind to grow volume. In the global south, that is the target, not the west. The old way of trying to replace banks with wallets for the past 13 years is not going to work. We need something else right now. We need to help the people that can really drive this thing forward. I've never taken money from anyone in my life. All my startups have been bootstrapped for the past 24 years. Why? Don't really trust people, don't like people telling me what to do, and I'm capable to create business, so why don't I? I'm not saying I won't take it in the future, but it has to be from the right people. I do not trust any of these Western VCs. Some of them might be great guys, but their energy is coming from a machine that is diametrically opposed to our mission. So if you take their money, I don't think that pleases God. It's not the right move. And we have to actually think like that. If you don't think like that and you're talking like some white boy from Silicon Valley, MGMI, bro, get that out of here. We're keeping it real. And we just have a very simple mission: unstoppable free markets. That's it. None of this, weak, we're trying to empower these poor disenfranchised, like any of that stuff in the way it sounds, it's fake. We're just trying to make them keep them here. That's it. That's all they want. That's what they need. They can take care of every other need they have. They don't need your financial aid or this or that or any of your charity or pity. Just show these brothers and sisters how to make some money with their energy. And that's it. They will do the rest like they've proven already. That's all we need to do. The most beautiful thing about the Bitcoin community, number one, honestly, I have to say, to me, what really makes me trust and love you guys is that while the whole world will look down on the global south. Look at them with their swollen bellies. Oh, they just, us Bitcoiners, we stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of the global south as equals. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's how I know God will give us victory. And we will have the resiliency and fortitude to fight this down to every inch. And when we have that victory, the whole world might not recognize it right away, but I will. And I got a party plan. 21 days, non-stop celebration. And I'm passing the wine around to the global south. It's on me.
That was pure gold. I think I'm gonna cut that part and upload it separately, just like a couple of others before it. But really, thank you for these speeches, Ray.
Yes, sir. Here to serve, my good man. What else am I good for? No one will hire me anyway. This is my only option. Oh, yeah. Being unhireable is tough these days, I'll tell you.
Okay, so thanks to everyone who has been listening all through the show. It seems like the average view duration is 30 minutes, which I think is pretty good, but still not good enough. So whoever has been around here since the first minute, you can drop a comment in the chat. You're a hero. You deserve recognition. I should call you out and call you for who you are. And yeah, this has been a conversation not just about the technicalities of Civ Kit, but also about the mission of Civ Kit. And I think that this pairing of Nicholas and also Ray has brought the best of both worlds. We have had a proper conversation about how this is being built and why this is being built. So thank you both, gentlemen. If you have a closing remark, while I wait for that glorious comment about the remnants who has been listening all the way through.
Closing remarks, Nick. Take it away, my good man. You'll have to bear with me for another 20
All I have to say is
minutes.
thanks for having us, Vlad. I think that's my third time on the show. Probably people remember this show more than the other two, but also, yeah, there'll be a lot of
don't lower yourself. You're great both times.
No, but there'll be a lot of there'll be a lot of interesting technology on Civ Kit. I think, yeah, there's a lot of hype about what's wrong with Lightning. Lightning can't scale. We have some great Lightning devs that are going to fix a lot of those challenges. I think people will be quite happy.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's been wonderful, Vlad. Thank you. You're much calmer than I thought. I thought a, twirling Slavic madman like Rasputin crossed with Dracula, the Impaler, Vlad Dracula and all of that. No, you're pretty chill, bro. Can't wait to meet you in Prague, my good man. Are you in Prague or Budapest? Where are you at?
No, I'm traveling tomorrow.
You're going to Prague. Oh, nice. So I'll be there Tuesday. We'll definitely hang out. Can't wait to see the whole gang in Prague. It's a great city, very beautiful. And this has been a great talk, brother. We got to the how and why. I think I delivered you an earful of the why. But, ultimately, if you're listening to this, you have to understand that we're basically in Fight Club. We're in the last stages of Fight Club right now. We really are. Before whatever kicks off hot is going to kick off, that's not the real battle. The real battle is going to be won on the financial front, because that's the first pillar of control that these small casts of dominant men that have always ruled the world, that's the first one that he took. And this mission started, 2,000 years ago? When this dude named Isa, son of Miriam, he decided to counter an experiment that was happening at the time, which was actually the creation of fiat, when the priests of the highest temple in Jerusalem, the Holy of Holies, said, hey, you know what? We collect our tithe from the people in these shekels, which are backed up by gold, issued by the government, gold and silver. Let's fork the shekel. And they did. They created the wooden half shekel. And you could only give them their tithe, the priest's tithe, which everyone had to, was like a tax in that half shekel, and they set the rate. And, people say, oh, yeah, that's why Jesus got pissed off, because they were taking their cut. Well, it's not as simple as that. They weren't just, finding a way to take a cut. They actually created fiat. And that was the genesis of this entire system, this financial apartheid system, but it's really an antichrist system that has corrupted money and used it against humanity and metastasized into this hideous network of derivatives and all these financial instruments that the normal person has no hope of understanding in a web of complexity that is indecipherable. Like, it all started 2,000 years ago. Jesus was sent to end that mission before it metastasized into what we're facing now. Well, he had to get out of Dodge. You know what went down there. He will be back, yes. Actually, it's Islamic prophecy that says he will return, and how. I encourage people to look at it. But the point is, all the believers are united now. We have to finish the job that Jesus started. It's been 2,000 years that this system has been running amok. It'll be 2,000 years since he began his mission in 2023. Think about that. That's why we don't have much time, guys. I give us 7 years to finish this thing. And we've got the tools. There's no excuse that humanity can't do it. Because if we are not successful, and these bad guys come up with this system of control that is not just where escape is impossible, but unthinkable, well, then God will reset the situation. And I know that sounds scary and all this guy's religious kook, but hey, man, all that, video game comic book stuff that we thought was illogical or too black and white, it's actually the truth. It truly is. All the stuff that we're told, in our history books and media, that's all junk. It is just the battle of good versus evil, and we're seeing that very clearly right now. But the great news is, if you're listening to this, you're on the front lines anyway. Here we are, and we can actually win. We have a real shot to send that missile straight into the Death Star. We don't exactly have to have the perfect precision shot, but we have to be facing directly at the problem. That's the key. No more dancing around with funny technology or funny words or any of this. We have the tools. Let's go directly at it. We've got the numbers as well. We just have to execute over these 7 years and actually believe that when we are successful in this leg of the mission, that the world that we've always dreamed of is actually going to be possible, where our children can have peace, where prosperity is the default. If you believe that in your mind, your subconscious will allow you to succeed. This is so important. This is so important. Because if you don't believe that, if you buy into this mechanistic, automatic, system that they painted around us, and you believe in this animalistic interpretation of humanity, you're going to find a way to lose. And they know that, which is why the way we think is not an accident. Reject all that. Humans are awesome. We have immense potential like we've never seen. We're at like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of 1% of our potential right now. It can grow so fast. You will be in awe of what your children are capable of doing, and the amount of genius that will become manifest so quickly if you just believe in the strength and beauty of humanity. When God created humanity and he presented the first human before all the angels of heaven, the angels asked him, kind of a troll, but they were like, but you made these beings with free will just like the other beings you made before them. And remember what happened there? And God's answer was simple. He said, I know what you know not. Meaning we've got a little something extra in our DNA that's going to help us get it together and overcome this almost curse of ego. We're going to win it. And we do it by focusing on the money. We're the guys that are making it happen on the money side. It's not just, epic talk over here. We're actually building code over here, real code, and we're going to focus in the right place. And we have the backing of the entire global South. I drive a Mini Cooper, but I consider myself right now richest man in the world. You can laugh at me all you want. Why? Because I have the trust of the people of the global South. And I'm so thankful. Thank you all. That's it. You want another hour or what?
I mean, I would like that, but at the same time, the listeners started dropping in the last 15 minutes. So I guess I guess we should apply that Hitchcock quote, which says that a film should be no longer than the average duration of the human bladder.
That's a good one. He's a brilliant man. It's about 90 minutes. I don't know. What is it? Woman's bladder?
Yeah, I guess something along those lines. So thank you both, and I very much look forward to interviewing you again when this launches. Once again, it's called Civ Kit. It stands for Civilization Kit. It has nothing to do with the video game Civilization, but it's about advancing civilization. And it's built on Nostr. It's super interesting. It's a protocol, not specifically a product. You can build anything you can envision in terms of marketplaces with CivKit. And it's peer-to-peer. It's decentralized. It's not censorable. I'm super excited about it. I gotta think of ways to use it whenever it launches. And I gotta think of ways to get you on the show once again, because I guess by the time it launches, you're gonna be a lot more popular. And you're gonna be like, oh, this guy has only like 500 views on average on his YouTube channel. Maybe we should go to Bitcoin Magazine or something.
Fuck Bitcoin Magazine. We'll be on your show.
Breaking Pod.
Anyway, my listeners are usually conference goers. They're more versed with Bitcoin than the average person, so they're not quite newbies, which means that they're more likely to try CivKit whenever it comes out, as opposed to people who just get excited and tweet about it and then they forget it.
Cool.
So thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Your time, brother. It's been awesome. Can I vape now, please? I've been keeping from vaping. Oh, God. Bro, the court documents are like his interviews are shrouded in the